LGR, London Greek Radio.
Hello and welcome to All About Autism, our monthly charity show here on London Greek Radio, aimed at helping us all understand autism better so we can together create a better society for autistics and the whole autism community. My name is Dr. Chris Papadopoulos. I'll be your host up until 8 p.m. I'm a father of 2 autistic children. I'm the founder and lead of the London Autism Group charity, and I'm also a principal lecturer in public health at the University of Bedfordshire. Today, as always, I'm joined by my 2 lovely co-hosts and charity volunteers, Sophia Christophi, who is herself autistic, and Ellie Kolatsi, a parent of an autistic child. How are you both doing today?
Okay, thank you. Yeah. Good.
Slightly overwhelmed by all the Christmas decorations.
Yeah, this studio is Christmased up. Yeah. Have you done your Christmas shopping? Any shopping?
No.
Same. That makes the 3 of us. Okay, so you've had a good month.
Yeah, it's been okay.
And you, Chris?
Yeah, not too bad. I was talking to my 7-year-old autistic son this morning on the drive home from picking him up, and I said to him, "Hey," I told him a little riddle, and I said, "Hey, what is it that you can catch but you can't throw?" Right? You might have heard this riddle before, and the answer is a cold. Right? That's the answer, right? But he said to me, "Glue." And I thought to myself, wow, that's actually a better answer, because you could, I suppose, catch glue, but you couldn't, once it's caught, it'd stick to your hands, and you couldn't throw it.
There you go.
There you go. Lateral thinking.
Yes. That's a good example of literal thinking.
Yeah. Lateral, literal, whatever it is. Yeah, maybe it's a bit of both, yeah. So yeah, I'm fine, thanks. Yeah, just gearing up to Christmas. Mm-hmm. So as listeners may know, on each monthly episode, we focus on a different topic connected to autism. And for today's show, we're going to be talking about the charities, community cafes, but also some of the other charity services that we provide. So as always, if you do have anything you'd like to ask or share, please do feel free to get in touch with us and we can read it out on air and discuss it live. So if you'd like to do that, you can simply text us at 0737 661 1033. That's 0737 661 1033. We'd love to hear from you. So we'd like to also point our listeners to the London Autism Group Charity's YouTube channel, which now has all of the past All About Autism LGR episodes uploaded there in case you ever miss a show and you want to catch up. So just go to YouTube, search for London Autism Group Charity, and you'll be able to find all of the episodes. Be sure to subscribe as well. We also now have a fantastic charity shop where you can buy t-shirts, cups and more with our charity logo. Every purchase helps the charity and will make, I can guarantee you, fantastic gifts for Christmas. So you can access our new charity shop by going to our website, which is londonautismgroupcharity.org, and clicking on the shop button. Finally, we also now hold monthly activity days at the fantastic Holy Sepulchre Church in London. Activity days are designed to provide a wide range of engaging and interactive activities for autistic people of all ages and all backgrounds. So maybe we'll talk a little bit more about that later on in the show, but it's well worth reminding our audience if you'd like to attend any of these activity days, which by the way are completely free. So thank you. That's the introduction.
Yeah. Chris, you've just made Christmas shopping really easy for me. Just going to go and buy London Autism Group charity stuff for everyone. Could you tell us a little bit more about how the community cafes developed?
Yeah, so, back in 2017 when we launched the charity, we were really delighted to launch it. Obviously, creating a charity isn't necessarily straightforward. You have to jump through a lot of hoops and you have to work with the charity commission to fill out their paperwork and respond to their questions, and it isn't easy. But eventually we got there and we were very happy, very celebratory. But then the trustees were just thinking, okay, but now how do we achieve our mission? Because, when you apply to become a charity, you have to be very specific about what the charitable objectives are. Like, what is it that the charity's trying to achieve, right? So we knew that. We knew we wanted to reduce autism stigma and improve social kind of acceptability and inclusion and so forth and so forth. But what we didn't know, I suppose, until we launched it, maybe it sort of hit us in the face only until we launched the charity, was how on earth are we going to actually achieve that? You know, I mean, it's easy to say, oh, we're going to reduce autism stigma and boost inclusion, social inclusion, but how actually do you do it? So, you know, the story behind the community cafes which was one of the first concrete activities that the charity launched to kind of achieve some of these objectives, really began on one day when I was driving home. This was back in 2019? I think early 2019 it was, January 2019. And I was driving home and I was looking around and I was looking at the various buildings, various shops, and I was thinking, where are all the spaces for the autistic community? You know, why is it that none of these bigger organisations, these bigger charities, haven't set up spaces that are fully accessible and easy to access and very visible in the community for people to access? You know, they're just not there, you know? I mean, there are different types of charity shops, aren't there, like sell, you know, clothing and merchandise to raise money. And there's also community centres. You know, you've got the Cypriot community centre, for example, and that sort of thing. But I couldn't see anything like what I was envisaging in my mind, which was just a space where people could go, you know, walk in and attend. Yeah. And that was really the spark of it, really. I thought, well, surely this isn't that difficult to achieve, is it? I mean, it can't be that difficult. All we need to do is find some spaces to hire and then to slowly organise it, you know, find a team and then advertise it and then build momentum. And we found a lovely church, St Andrew's Church in Southgate, which was the first venue, and they loved it. The space was very nice. So it sort of started there. And the reason why we wanted to do it was, as I said, to try and achieve some of our charitable objectives, which is to, you know, reduce autism stigma and boost inclusion of autistic people. And we think the theory was, among our trustees, was that doing this kind of community cafe where people could just drop in, get together of all backgrounds, of all circumstances, so long as they're connected to autism in some way or another, people could connect, feel safe. That is one of the most important things, that they'd feel safe in these kinds of spaces and understood. Do you know what I mean? And also, you know, just felt, that was the other thing, to say that the aim of these things was really to build social capital, which is what we call it in the charity, social capital. And that is to say, by social capital, what I'm talking about there is, you know, building networks and connections among people, so that people feel better connected, less isolated, less lonely, because all of that is great for mental health and well-being, which the autistic community badly need. So that was really kind of the background. So I've tried to summarise it as quickly as I possibly could.
Yeah, I think what I've noticed about the cafes, in terms of it being different to any sort of other support group style meeting, is that autistic adults, autistic children are welcome, wider family members, friends, whether you've got a diagnosis or not, it's not a barrier. Sometimes you find groups, but they're very specific. So the community cafes are really inclusive to anybody who has an interest in autism or is autistic themselves, or even if they're wondering whether they might be autistic. And I think because we don't have like set topics every month or anything, people are just free to come at any time that's good for them within that 2-hour slot. So there's no pressure to have to be there from the beginning to the end. And yeah, just have the opportunity to meet other people and share your experiences in a really safe environment.
That's the key. I think those words I really connect with, safe and understood. I think for us as a family, when we go there, that's really important. You don't feel judged or looked upon, or those kind of side eyes where your kid might be doing something that somebody might think, oh, what are they doing? Or thoughtful, it's sensitive, and people feel welcome. So the minute that you come in, it's such a big place, especially St Andrews where we are, and it's happening on Sunday, this Sunday actually. You can do as much or as little as you can, as you said, Sophia.
Yeah.
It's there's some activities, there's you can talk, you can not talk. It's completely a kind of fluid place where you can do as much or as little as you can, but it just feels so inclusive, and I think that's what the aim is, isn't it, really?
Yeah. So it's interesting that you say that you feel, you don't feel judged there, and and you feel included and safe. I mean, so presumably in other environments you don't get that, right? I mean, do you feel sometimes that people are judging?
Absolutely, you're judged all the time when we're on the bus. And Anthony likes to be pretending to drive, or he's sitting in a space that he shouldn't, and people are shooing him away or looking at him because he's making the noises of the bus all the time, walking down the road. So it always feels like you're in the spotlight, and imagine that, being a child, having that placed on your shoulders, and us as parents seeing that. You want to protect them, and you want them to feel included and accepted as much as possible.
Yeah. And it isn't just... I totally relate to it, because I've had those experiences as well. And it isn't just, the concrete, definitely my child has been judged experiences. Like, do you know what I mean? It isn't just that. Those things are there for sure, but it's also the feeling that you're being judged as well. And that is just as powerful, actually. Where you just feel really uncomfortable because you just don't trust that people around you are compassionate or patient or get it, and that they're judging your parenting and that sort of thing. Whereas you don't get any of that in the community cafes, right?
Absolutely not.
And that's such a relief.
Yeah, it is.
I remember being really nervous when I came to the first community cafe because I didn't really know what to expect. But it's probably one of very few places that I go to and I don't have this constant monologue in my head that says you should be making eye contact now, you should nod now, you should do this, you should do that, and I don't need to do any of the scripting because everybody is just themselves, and it feels so much more at ease to be surrounded by people who either are autistic or understand what it's like to be autistic.
Exactly that, and it feels like a relief, almost, doesn't it? It feels like I don't have to follow those social norms and think about what other people are thinking, because I just don't have to.
And do you think that your son benefits and your daughter as well?
Yeah, I think they really enjoy it, and they can't wait to meet old friends, they can't wait to meet new friends, they wonder who's going to come, and that's so nice because it's that sort of feeling of connection.
Yeah,
they're not worried about making friends. They're just going to be there.
Yeah, I guess we wouldn't need community cafes if we had this sort of utopia. I don't know, when we talk about utopia, right. The idea of society being fully inclusive and working in this way. I mean, we wouldn't. Hopefully one day the charity can close the community cafes because we won't need them for these protective spaces. But just in terms of your children, Ellie, when you attend, do you think sometimes that your child, also picks up on not being judged? Do you know what I mean? That kind of feeling. Because when we talk about being judged, we always think, we tend to talk about it in terms of adults. Do you know what I mean? Whether it's autistic adults or autistic parents or just neurotypical parents. But we never think, does the child feel like they're being judged as well? We never really talk about it from the child's perspective. And I wonder whether or not you've got an insight onto that.
He's definitely more relaxed, and I can feel that. And I don't feel so, where is he? What's happening? I mean, obviously, to a certain extent, you want to know where they are. When I'm relaxed, he's relaxed, or people around him. So he doesn't have to put up this pretend or this kind of... or what they're going to say, are they going to talk to me, are they not going to talk to me, are they going to reject me, what's it going to be like? So definitely he feels it.
Because children mask, right, Sophia, as well? you'd say?
Yeah, I would say so. I don't think it's uncommon for autistic children to mask, especially if they've been on the receiving end of like judgment for how they are or how they behave. Then you quickly become aware of it and put things in place to try and appear more neurotypical.
Yeah.
But it's interesting because I think a lot of people say things about the way autistic children communicate and the way they play, and there's all this kind of negative language around autistic children not being children properly. But actually, if you get a group of autistic children together and watch them play and interact, I don't see any problems at all. So
100%.
It's funny how, you know, it's, if they're in the right environment and they're surrounded by people who are like them, all of these things that society thinks are issues suddenly go away.
Yeah, it's funny because you could sort of view it as a sort of secondary masking when you put autistic children with non-autistic children together, and the parents of autistic children perhaps feel that they need to be playing in the way that the non-autistic children are playing, and so they're trying to put them into the sort of social interactions that they are feeling are to be expected or needed in the neurotypical world. And it's almost like a secondary type of masking, isn't it? It's not the child doing the masking in those kinds of instances, but the parent kind of overlaying it.
It's
like masking by proxy.
Yeah, it's like trying to facilitate the mask, isn't it, as a parent?
But again, that's the norms of when you go to a professional and they give you, this is what your child should be doing, this is what they should be playing like, or talking, or those kind of pressures are put on you to think, oh my goodness, look at that child, that's what they're doing, and my child isn't doing that.
Yeah.
So you get this kind of rush of, what do I do? What's happening to them? What's going on?
Yeah. And I think if it's an autistic parent who themselves are not masking, do you know what I mean? They've taken their own mask off and they fully embrace their identity. I think that kind of masking by proxy goes away in many respects, because they just see past that nonsense. Whereas if you're kind of still in that world where you're not really fully embracing your identity and who you actually are, maybe that carries over to your child and makes things more difficult.
I was just thinking culturally as well, like if it's the kind of talking of what is your child doing now, or the kind of, my child's doing this and reading I don't know, too, or fighting, or that kind of stuff, and then if they're not, then there's some kind of huge crisis.
It's almost like a competition, whose child has reached the milestones first, and it's just all these milestones are just averages, aren't they? So people get overly concerned about their child not meeting those milestones when everybody's telling them they should, but some children are faster, some children take longer.
Exactly.
Yeah, those I remember when my children were, especially my first son, who that was my first kind of entry into the world of autism. I remember those books that talked about benchmarks and developmental milestones, and at this age they should be doing this, and those things really hurt me the most, actually. Those horrible now I know better that is just all complete nonsense in many respects. Do you know what I mean? It's who's to say that if your child isn't doing X by 12 months that is technically wrong?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It's a nonsense, and the pressures that puts on you as a parent, and the concerns, it's unnecessary.
I think that's actually something that comes up quite a lot at the community cafes, particularly for parents who are right at the start of the journey. I think a lot of them come in quite anxious about the whole situation, what they've been told, what they think might happen. And they come to a community cafe and they see a range of children, a range of adults, and they talk to everybody and get a diverse range of experiences. And suddenly they don't feel so worried. So that's really nice to see, especially when we have new people coming and they've kind of taken that step to open up about their situation, which may have been hard for them in the first place.
Yeah, and that's true, actually, isn't it? We do get a lot of new parents coming in and just entering this world, and that's something we really, really welcome. And
much better than Googling things.
Oh my goodness me.
Google.
Dr. Google. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we wanted to make it all ages, all circumstances, all walks of life, because we've got a lot to learn from each other. Do you know what I mean? So that's one of the main drivers. All right then. Well, maybe we should take a short break. As always, we do welcome questions really about anything related to autism. It doesn't have to be related to the community cafes or any of the other charity services. Please send us any questions or points of view that you may have. You can do that by texting 0737 661 1033. That's 0737 661 1033. And we'll talk about that live on air. So thank you very much. Time for a break. Stay tuned.
Welcome back, everyone. A quick reminder to listeners that you can text us on 0737 661 1033. If you'd like for us to discuss your questions or share your thoughts, we'd really love to hear from you. So, Chris, how inclusive are the community cafes?
They are, I would say, extremely inclusive, about as inclusive as you possibly could get, really, because they really do cater for all ages, all backgrounds, whether you're a parent, a grandparent, a sibling, a professional, an educationalist, a child, an autistic person or a non-autistic person, and any mix of those types, you're welcome, really. And it's also fully wheelchair accessible as well, I should say. So if you've got physical disabilities, then you are able to still attend. So we always make sure that the venues that we choose are accessible, because that's really, really important. And in line with that, we actually have a text message that's come through from Andros. Thank you very much, Andros, for your message. So it relates very nicely to your question, Ellie. So Andros says, hi, All About Autism. Thank you for everything you're doing to support autistic people. My brother is autistic and has severe learning disabilities. He is 15. He has a lot of additional needs. His family takes turns caring for him. However, there aren't many truly inclusive places or events out there that he can get to or do many activities unless we specially arrange something. Would he be welcome at one of your charity's community events? Is there anything suitable for him to do there? Thanks so much. You're doing a fantastic job. Thank you very much, Andros, for that question, which is really, really important. Sophia, what would you say to that?
I would say that they would definitely be welcome. I know a lot of places claim to be inclusive when they're not really, but as Chris said, the community cafes are very, very inclusive. Everybody's welcome. We also have at some of the community cafes, like the music therapy, I think of at Southgate, for people that have additional learning difficulties that may be of interest for them to take part. But the actual environment is just judgment free. There's no need to specially plan your trip to us or worry about what's going to happen when you get there. You just turn up and you'll be greeted by one of the charity volunteers, offered drinks, biscuits, whatever you need. Pick a place in the room that you're most comfortable. So very welcome at any of the community cafes. Thanks
for reminding us about the music therapy, which is very relevant to Andros's text message. So on Sunday, this Sunday, we have our community cafe at Southgate in St Andrews by Asda, and that session has a dedicated specialist music therapist who comes. Popular. That's very popular. Who comes along for the first hour of the
so 1 o'clock from 1.
So from 1 o'clock onwards, he is there, and he's absolutely amazing. And so someone like Andros's brother would really benefit from something like that if he engages well with, if he enjoys something like that, of course, learning with learning difficulties. But I think the other key thing is what you said, Sophia. The main sort of thing is that they can be whoever they want to be.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Pure acceptance, and there's no judgment. So, what's your view on the inclusivity of the community cafes, Ellie?
So, as Sophia said, you can walk in and do as much or as little as you want, and I think the importance is that nothing's forced on you. So if there's music therapy going on in the corner and the child's not quite in or participating and they're just outside, that's fine. They can still hear, they can still participate in their own way. There's no sort of pushing to enforce the kind of participation. It's there. If you want it, you can join. If not, you can just hover around. Parents, carers welcome, all the people that you listed previously. That's what we get. We get carers, grandparents, and sometimes even the professionals who are clued up or work, and you can be lost. I mean, I worked in education. I felt lost. I felt isolated. I didn't know where to turn. It was difficult, and there's not really something where you can go and just sit and say, this happened, or can you give me some advice, or what do you think? And be your authentic self as well, which is important.
We had that actually recently. A SENCO, one of the special educational needs coordinators at school, who play a central role really in a child's school journey, attended one of our community cafes. I think it was the one in Woodford. And she was telling us how helpful it's been to be there, to understand from autistics directly in that kind of space, some of the kind of challenges or issues or thoughts that perhaps she'd never previously had, that she can now build into her strategies. And she was sort of saying, look, I don't know everything. I'm not autistic, and I'm new. She was quite new, and she wanted to just integrate into that culture, and we answered her questions, and that kind of information sharing is really, really good. As a parent, I think, something like this for me, before all of this happened, I would have massively benefited from it.
Same.
Particularly the information and the making friendships aspect, because I didn't know anyone else at the time when my son was being diagnosed who... I honestly didn't know any other parents who were in the same position. And, I reached out once or twice, made some initial connections, but never really worked out. And I just thought, I just need to meet more people in the same circumstance. And there wasn't anything like that at the time. No. So if you're a parent of a newly diagnosed child, or you've got a diagnosis yourself recently, and this is all kind of new to you, there cannot be any better place really for you.
And I think just bringing it back again to the Greek culture, there was an even more of a pressure to explain or try for people to understand what was going on, when I even didn't understand what was going on, and not being allowed to kind of be truthful or honest about what I was feeling or what was going on, or just reaching out. It was impossible actually, and I kept it. I didn't talk about it.
We have quite a lot of Greek families coming to the Southgate group in particular, which has been really nice to see that within the Greek community people are more comfortable sharing their experiences or meeting other families and talking about their stories, because I definitely think it's something that definitely within our community
I think so.
is kept quite quiet for fear of judgment and things.
And I think that's initially what my aim was, to reach out to Greek people to kind of get the word and talk about it openly, because why not? We should actually say the truth is, when it comes to the doing something for the Greek community, it was really Ellie who started everything off, because Ellie emailed me to say, we got to do something about the Greek community, because we're not talking. Both of you, didn't I?
Because you're right. You said, look, it's highly stigmatised. Nobody's doing anything. What do we do? And then we sort of joined up, and here we are on LGR, and So
get the word out.
but we do get a lot of Greek families. You're right. And what I've noticed is, we've also had, which is quite nice to see, some Greek grandparents come in, I've noticed in particular. And I've had a few phone calls from grandparents telling me, grandmoms, yayas in particular, I should say, telling me that they actually accept and they want to help and do something about it, but their children, the parent of the child hasn't accepted. I've heard this a few times. And they want advice on how to get their child, as in the parent, to accept the situation and move forward. Yeah, we've had a few of those, which I think I suppose be partly cultural, maybe. With the strong wanting to
but
help
also,
out.
Again, that pressure of not talking about it, or my child's this a certain way, and this is what they're doing, and
I think that sort of thing would like the community cafes would have been really good for my mum when I was diagnosed, because I was diagnosed at 16, which is fairly late. But my mum didn't feel that she could talk to anyone about it, like within the family, because it wasn't understood. So when we were looking for these kind of groups, there really wasn't anything. And if there was, it was, like I said earlier, quite restrictive. So you either were a child or it was an adult group. You had to have a diagnosis. There wasn't anything that the parent and child could go to. There was nowhere for us to get any good quality information. So a lot of the time we just had to figure it out along the way. And when I first started coming to the community cafes, I just imagined that I would like hover around a little bit and listen to people's stories, but I didn't think that I would get so involved as to become a volunteer as well. So it really has provided that sense of like community that would have been really helpful back then as well.
No, this is great, because it's sort of from one small idea, it's kind of growing, isn't it, and branching into different areas, and how much that the main goal of that inclusivity is that you feel it. That's the main thing.
And how many community cafes are there now?
There is one in Southgate, one in Ealing, that's 2, one in Woodford is 3, we have one in Grays, which is in Essex, which is a bit further out, but we want to stay true to our charitable status, which is to support not just London but surrounding counties. And Islington is the other one, so we have one in Old Street as well. So we've got 5 at the moment, but we've also launched these activity days, which are a little different. They're not community cafes because they're much more structured, the activity days. So we have these monthly sessions, which again are entirely free. I mean, that is the thing I just want to keep repeating to people. There's no cost with any of these things. But going back to what you're saying about branching out, Ellie, I think it's worth saying that one of the other things that we do in the community cafes is quite strategic, and that is to try to identify or give people a chance who need it, those people who have quite substantial mental health difficulties, that are in quite a deep crisis. These people, you can sort of find them in a way in our community cafes, like about, I'd say 10%, 20% at least overtly are in crisis, and that's good for the charity to know who these people are, so we can support them further. And so we try and sort of set up one-to-one mental health support for these people if they wish to use it. But it's important to say that mental health support is always autistic led, which we found is absolutely the key ingredient. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So when you have an autistic therapist, you kind of benefit from not just the professionalism of them knowing mental health generally, but the fact that they're speaking through lived experience, and they also have this ability to create a safe connection, and of course this hyper empathy as well. So it just works so well. So that's something else that the charity really promotes, is this idea that things should be as much as possible autistic led, which they haven't been previously.
I think we even see friendships develop at the community cafes, which is really nice. Like, even if people don't communicate with each other outside of the cafes, it's good to see people coming back and catching up from where they left off last time.
We have got a WhatsApp group, so
Yeah,
information
I think
sharing.
do all of the community cafes have a WhatsApp group?
Yeah.
So people can be kept up to date with when the next community cafe is. Sometimes there's questions in between.
Yeah.
So there are more things that the charity can offer aside from the community cafes, in terms of signposting to relevant services and things.
Yeah, a couple of the WhatsApp groups are really lovely, are really popular and lovely to see. The Ealing one in particular, there's I don't know, there must be about 50 or 60 people in that Ealing WhatsApp group, and they're texting all day, with each other, sharing pictures of their daily walk or sharing interests, I mean, that Grand Theft Auto trailer came out the other day and they're all, talking about that or whatever, and so that's lovely to see as well, that like you say, the friendships continue in that forum. So yeah, if you do attend these community cafes, then
that's really nice, isn't it? That's sort of going beyond that confined space and thinking beyond that there is something else that you can create and bonds that you can have, and you don't have to be isolated or feel that you can't make friends. I think that's really important as well. Just thinking about extending.
Yeah. I think it works well for autistic people in particular to have that central meeting place where you get to know somebody first and kind of build a relationship with them, and then if you feel comfortable, and you exchange numbers and you carry on your friendship. But it's that the initiation of the friendship is kind of scaffolded by volunteers and people that are there to help build the connections and match people that are like-minded, people that have similar interests.
Yeah. Well, for me anyway, building the lovely friendship that I have with both of you. Extending beyond those confined spaces.
Yeah.
Isn't it? So, thank you.
There's nothing better for your health than good friendships. Yeah, I think. I should, since we're talking about each other, I should say also, my tremendous thanks to the two of you for all of your work that you do with the community cafes. I mean, you are out, we all do this on a voluntary basis. All of the work that we do, myself included, but you two, you're really committed to it, and you're always, proactive and just want to help, just completely just out of the kindness of your own hearts, and it is a lot of effort and time for you to do the work that you do. So to all of our volunteers, I should say that I'm extremely grateful. And it's been lovely to see actually how many people want to volunteer. They want to pull together for a good cause.
It is very rewarding.
It is rewarding.
Yeah, volunteering is hopefully a rewarding experience. So if you're listening and you want to volunteer, get in touch. We're always looking for good volunteers. Okay, well, I think we've discussed the community cafes pretty extensively. Is there anything else that either of you'd like to add on this topic before we move forwards towards wrapping up? No? Okay, well, I'll just say a few things to wrap up. So, as always, we will be back next month, and so our next show takes place on the 4th of January at 7 p.m, which, as always, is the first Thursday of the month. I'd also like to remind you that please do feel free to pop in to one of our charity community cafes. As we've been discussing today, offer so much when it comes to a feeling of safety, inclusivity, support, fully accessible, and they're just a great way to connect with others. And the other thing I should say about them is that you get a strong sense of satisfaction when you yourself help others. Do you know what I mean? You go there to get support, but you end up supporting other people, which is also...
That's a good point.
Yeah, it's kind of it's sort of both ways. Yeah. So as I said, we do have these community cafes scattered around in Southgate, Islington, Ealing, Grays and Woodford. The Southgate one is this Sunday at 1 p.m.
Yep.
So please do come along, especially if you wish for your child to benefit from our music therapy, which is, again, entirely free. All of the information about our community cafes and all of the other services that our charity offers can be found on our website, which is londonautismgroupcharity.org. That's londonautismgroupcharity.org. And a reminder that all of the recordings of these past episodes can be found on our YouTube channel. So just search for London Autism Group Charity on our YouTube channel. And I should say that, I mean, the episodes are brilliant. I mean, I don't want to sort of exemplify what we're doing, but I mean, the top, we've gone through so many topics this year, haven't we? I mean, this is the end of the year,
we're wrapping up the year.
We've done well.
If there's anyone that is wanting to get in touch and talk about something in particular, then we welcome that.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, so if you wish for us to focus on any particular theme or topic, feel free to get in touch with the charity, send us an email, and we'd love to do that. So, finally, a reminder to check out our brand new online charity shop, which does have lots of fancy, great merchandise with our lovely logo, our lovely charity logo, T-shirts and coffee cups and all sorts of things. So check it out, londonautismgroupcharity.org, and then just click on the shop button and you'll get there. And if you order soon, your gifts, your purchases will arrive in time for Christmas, so they'd make great gifts. Okay, so thanks to my lovely co-hosts and charity volunteers and amazing friends, Sophia and Ellie. Also, big thanks to Tony Neofidio in the background, helping with everything. By the way, Tony is also an honorary charity volunteer at this point, given all of the time that he puts into supporting our show here. Also to James Gordon for his amazing editorial input. And of course, all of you lovely listeners, have a lovely, lovely, lovely Christmas and great New Year. And we'll speak to you on the 4th, is it the 4th of January at 7 p.m. All right, thanks very much.
Bye.
On FM, on digital radio, on your mobile and online. This is London Greek Radio.